Greetings, everyone. Chief Yuya here, and you are listening to the Orisha podcast / YouTube channel. And I'm bringing in the close of this, I don't want to say series, but I've been speaking about just the scam artists and the flim flamming and so forth and so on that sometimes goes on through these new digital channels. And it's been a while since I've done a segment on this, and it's only because I've been occupied with work. I've been occupied with work, so I have to really prioritize where I give my energy to. So I wanted to close this out. It was time to kind of get it off of my table, if you will. So if some of you remember, and if you haven't heard previous segments, I suggest you listen to part 1 and 2 so that you can get the proper context and understand, what is going on, and what is being replied to and what is being spoken about. But for those of you who may recall, I was approached by a quote-unquote priestess by the name of Ifayemi Awosanmi some time ago, and it was all pretty much a scam. So it's all a scam. All right, so just to put it out there really quick. And I decided to play along for a little while, just to use it as a teaching moment, as I often do when I get an opportunity to sometimes go along with a common scenario that many of you may encounter. Sometimes I'll play along, or I'll follow a certain pattern of thought or questioning in order to maybe perhaps give you a template as to how you can respond in the future, or maybe might be able to draw out a perspective that you may not have looked at before. And I know, again, it's been some time, but like I expressed in previous videos, I'm not really on this medium as much. My goal was never to be a broadcaster on this platform, or to big it up, or to build it up, or anything like that. I just used it because it's very convenient to use, and from a technical perspective, it's really easy. It's very accessible because it's on everyone's mobile device. But like I've said before, this environment and this platform is not really sturdy and integral enough to hold the weight of what it is that we are bringing in terms of information, and it's far too accessible. So it's like a double-edged sword in that sense. It's very accessible to those who need to get to the information, but it's also very accessible to trolls and detractors. And I really don't have time, nor do I like to spend money in what I have to pay my staff, because I do have paid staff, to have to sit here and police comments and stuff like that. So I don't spend as much time up here as I know a lot of you like me to. And I get messages all the time. Can you break this down? Can you break that down? And what I'm presenting here is at the free level. So at the free level, you get what you get. All right. But anyway, so I'm going to share a response that I sent. Just it's about 3 a.m. Right now where I'm at. I was just up, and I said, let me just do this real quick so I can get it off my plate, because I don't really have any fatigue in me right now. So I said I'll knock it out while it's nice and quiet. Everyone is asleep, and no one is beckoning for my attention right now. So it's a good time for me to get this done. But in any event, so I sent a response to the person earlier today, and I'm going to read it to you, and then I'm going to get into something else, because I also didn't really come with the next video because I have more important things that I want to look at and think about and work on, and I don't like to give a lot of energy to nonsense, and online stuff is nonsense for the most part. So that's kind of the other reason why, I didn't jump back into. I'm not one of those people who, I don't really have a vindictive spirit in that sense. So I don't have you trying to rip me off? Ooh, wait till I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do. I have my aspirations don't really lie there, and I just have really more important things going on in my life, and I have more important people to care for and to tend to and to sometimes just have a conversation with than with some idiot online. All right, so I'm gonna read what I wrote, and like I said, then I'll get into something else really, pretty briefly. Okay, so pulling this up, they sent me a response on September 27th. Today is, I think, the 17th. Let me look. Today's the 19th. Okay. So today is the 19th, and first, as you can see, it'll be on the screen. How are you, my son? Again with the my son stuff, and I didn't respond because again I'm busy. I'm doing things, and but the last correspondence I left her with was, I'm gonna send some money. I gotta run to the bank, and my baby mother is doing this, and the usual scenario I put in front of her, and she thought she had a juicy catch on the hook. So she said, how are you, my son? My son, what can it take a man to have anything in the world and lost his life? Misquoting Bible scripture there. What doth it profit a man to gain the world and lose his soul? Obviously. Then she says, the ancestors keep showing you to me. You are taking some things for granted here, my son. Are you there? Just getting desperate, right? So I'm just going to read through, what was said there and then my response, and then I'll explain. So, but what I said was, and you'll see the screenshots of this, and I included screenshots so you can, see for yourself. This isn't just some made up thing that I did to have something to talk about in the video, and plus also so you can see the individual's name. So I said, and now we bring this foolishness to a close. I am going to say this simply so you can understand every word. Games can turn deadly when you play with the wrong person. You have met that person. I am thankful that my Ori led me to the wisdom of Ifa so many years ago. As an initiated Awo, I have dealt with many liars and thieves. You are no different. I am an Ifa priest. I have lived in Nigeria for years, own land there, and have family back there. The wonderful thing is I have a beautiful relationship with the Araba Agbaye and have informed him of you and your nonsense. The ICIR is aware of who you are and what you are doing. This entire time I played a fool in order to catch a fool. That fool is you. How dare you contact Black Americans and try to use their hope to learn about their ancestors against them? Don't play with blacks from this place. We are the original Hebrews. We are more powerful than you could ever imagine. Our ancestors will drive you deeper into poverty if you do not stop what you are doing. You will never see peace or true wealth in this life. Your children will have no inheritance, and your friends will never speak your name as soon as you are lowered into the earth. Stop this immediately, or fire will rain down upon your home. You lying fool. So after that was said, she said, I have heard everything you have said, okay, but I want you to know something. If I should prove it in your life that I am right messenger of the gods, I will overlook all your mistakes. Okay, you shall see the truth soon. Peace to you. So I said, war is nothing new to me. I always win. Keep playing if you want. And I left it at that. Then actually I blocked the individual, because at this point we're not going to go back and forth, because now I would be inviting something injurious into my life, because I'm sitting here and I'm having an exchange where I am debasing myself. Now I'm not playing. It's different when I'm playing a role, but now I'm seriously debasing myself and having a back and forth with an online fool, or with a demon, really. So I kind of stopped it and left it at that. And like this, like I said, one of the reasons I left it at that is that I don't have time for this nonsense. Okay, so the lesson was learned, the lesson was taught. Like I said, I only engaged with this individual for you all. For me, it's nothing to block someone. I love blocking people, actually, and just get out my way, get out my face. Because I have things to do, and I am not sitting here messing around with you in this nonsense or trying to prove anything to anyone. But even in the language, I'm the right messenger of the gods. And, like I said, I'm going to touch on something briefly. And I know as many things that I say via this channel and other channels, they don't always feel good to hear, or they don't always taste syrupy sweet, but lies are always given to you in a syrupy form. That's why the truth is called the bitter truth, or it's a bitter pill to swallow. And a lot of times the truth exposes you to a reality and a door that you're beckoned to walk through. That means that you'll have to die to what your old lie was before. So sometimes when folks are approached with the truth of a situation, they vehemently rebel against what that could be, and they use insults and all kind of things, and then you have those who know the truth, the 15%ers, the 10%ers, excuse me, but they'll detract you and they'll try to beguile you and sway you away from the truth that's being presented to you, has been given to you by the divine creator. That is really your birthright. It is your inheritance. And the way, the detour that a liar or that an injurious spirit will send you down, that is what you've earned. That's not your birthright, but is what you've earned. When, a lot of times people talk about, well, this spirit is coming to me, that spirit is trying to hurt me and try to harm me, because that's what you've earned. That's why those people are trying to harm you. You've earned that. If I went and gave my money to this person and I got ripped off, it wouldn't be because somebody sent a hex at me and now all of these bad things are happening. It's because I've earned that experience. How did I earn that experience? Because I refuse to live righteous. I refuse to develop my own character through the development and the connecting with my own Ori. You see, I have to work out my own connection to Ifa and my own alignment with the righteousness of Ifa. No one else can do that for me. No one else can give me a special bath or a drink. There's not enough chickens and goats and ducks and turtles and snails that you can present in order for someone else to work out your relationship with the one who shaped and molded you. You see? And when you skip over that part because of your own laziness, because of your own fear, then you begin to be shaped and molded by the destructive spirits that are stuck on the planet. You see? So when these things start happening to you, you have no one to blame but yourself. This is your earnings. See, you invested in foolishness. So, we have what's called a ROI, return on investment. So whatever it is I invest in, I expect a return. So if you're investing in vanity and investing in laziness and investing in arrogance, which a lot of this is, because where does the arrogance piece come in? Because you're too arrogant. You don't want to submit to any real teaching. You don't want to submit to any lifestyle that the teachings dictate that will keep you and your family safe. You want someone to do it for you because you're arrogant. You don't take it seriously. So like even when information is being taught on channels like this, you don't take it serious. It's entertainment for you. It's entertainment because you're arrogant. You feel like initiations are owed to you. Somehow that's owed to you. You should initiate me. You won't teach me anything. This one, I got initiated by my godfather. They didn't teach me nothing. Well, you didn't earn anything. You didn't earn anything. What makes you think you're worthy of being taught? What makes you think that? Or someone jumps online and says, oh, my son, the ancestors are showing me. What ancestors? Who are you talking about? What ancestors are showing you to me? And we've never even met in person. And even if we didn't meet in person, because I work with people I've never met in person, but I'd never sit there and be like my ancestors or the ancestors, because we don't have the same ancestors. So what the heck are you talking about? All skin ain't kin. Just because we both have dark skin or we both have kinky hair does not mean that we're even related, let alone family. So what are you talking about? The ancestors. You're playing games with certain language. And if I wanted to be a lazy individual and say, okay, well, I can give this person $100. That's what they asked for. I got that. I can do that all day, every day. Here's $100. What am I investing in? You see, because I could take $100 and buy myself a bunch of sandwiches from your neighborhood junk food, fast food restaurant. I could take $100 and buy myself some narcotics, whether they be liquid, pill form, or in herbal form. I could take $100 and do that. I could take $100 and invest in a lot of things, and best believe that there will be a return on my investment. So don't imagine that investing in ignorance and in fear is any different. It's no different, And I understand that when people con you, they gain your confidence. They gain your confidence first, And I have to say this to men differently than I say it to women, or to males differently than I say it to females. A lot of you males, you are so mesmerized by female priestess. And when I spoke about the different aspects, the different tips in terms of Orisha devotion, I got a lot of feedback. I don't care, because the people who are giving feedback, you don't even know what you're talking about. When I said, if your awo, if your elder is not mated, we got an issue here. Oh, so you mean to tell me if such and such doesn't have a mate, you're not qualified to argue with me. You're just not. You notice if you go back to those videos, there's no comments back from me. I gave myself a gift. I'm gonna let you guys in on something. My house, we did a detox some time ago, a couple months ago, and I then also shared that detox with some brothers and sisters and I knew, and then they shared it again, so it actually expanded outward from my house. But we did like a 21-day fruit detox. And, everyone had a different goal. And I really didn't have a goal for the detox other than to support my family. I said, I'll do it with everyone. We'll all do it together. But there was something I did say. I said, you know what, actually, after we started, I said, I'm going to give myself a gift. This is the gift I'm going to give myself. I'm going to stop speaking to low vibrational people. I'm going to just stop. Stupid comment comes on the video or a lazy question, I'm just going to ignore it. I'm not even going to acknowledge it. Or if a client asks me something that's just really stupid and really, really, really beneath my pay grade, I'm not responding. I'm going to save my energy in that sense, because it can be depleting. It can be exhausting interacting with the fool. Because you have to step so far down from your altar. There's a reason that there's steps leading up to a throne. You got to climb those steps. You got to climb them, and then you got to walk all the way down and deal with this fool. And then because you've walked all the way down, they now believe that you are the same thing. They don't understand what grace is. That, no, I came down here to help you, not because I'm in the same condition as you. And you want me to show you? Watch this. Watch how quickly I leave you and go back to where I was. So I promised myself that I'm not stepping down from my throne at this point to deal with stuff like that. So like when those things were put forth, I didn't even respond. I'm not doing this. and it's always the same kind of people who have something to say. Maybe one day I'll get into that, but I ain't gonna get on it. I'm not gonna get into it through this platform as to who always has something to say, or when I spoke about some other thing, like when I did the one who was the most powerful Orisha, and I look at it's always the same kind of people who commented, and it's the people who are not even qualified to speak, or you're following a religion that is an offshoot of where I come from. You're speaking to your elder and don't even know it. And instead of trying to learn, you're debating based on something you don't even understand, because if you did, you wouldn't have even engaged in an offshoot, watered down form of what the truth is. You could take it or you could let it alone. That's up to you. It doesn't really make me a bit of difference. Like I've said before, I'm focused on our new people. Why? Because we have to build a strong kingdom for those of us who are on the same frequency. Now, this is what I'm getting into with all this scamming stuff that keeps going around. I spoke about the fascination that so many males have with getting up underneath these female priests. There's something really fundamentally wrong with that. Yeah, I know. What? You don't know any better. Listen and learn something. There's something wrong with that. It's because, number one, you got mommy issues. You have issues with your own masculinity, and you refuse to run your own household. That's why you do that. And it's the same thing when you males want to cuddle up underneath me, and I don't allow it. Like I've expressed before, that Anu is a patriarch. It's a patriarchal organization. The epitome or the alpha representation of Anu is a patriarchal heterosexual man. That's what sits at the top. Okay, and I'm not just speaking to myself, but I'm speaking about the highest aspiration for men in Anu. Does that mean that we don't have members of other ilks? No, it doesn't mean that. And I know some people took exception to that. I don't care. You didn't have the wherewithal to create it, so you definitely don't have the wherewithal to manage it. For those of you who had comments and criticisms when I did that video speaking about the Anu men and the Anu women's ministry, and I spoke about people who live dissexual lifestyles. I spoke about people who are non-melanated and things like that, and where they fall in the pecking order, and people who took exception to that. And how could you align yourself? I'm not aligning myself with anything that I don't advocate, but you didn't understand the statement, which is why if you didn't have the brains to understand what I was saying, do you truly think you have the brains to understand how to put something like this together and to keep it running? And I know that's not a question you probably want to really honestly answer, but don't worry, I've already answered it for you, and I've made provisions for it. So let's get back to what I'm saying in terms of this. A lot of you guys, you want to crawl up under these priests and these priestesses. So that's what you invest in. And then you get this really horrible and awful return. And you're sitting walking around looking confused. Men, you got to stand up and be men. Like I've always said, and the men in Anu will tell you, if they have children, I call them Baba. Now people will probably wonder, but wait a minute, you're the Babalao. You're the Jegna. I'm a Babalao and I'm a Jegna. I'm a father. But when I'm in your household, you're the high priest of your household. Point blank, you are the high priest of your household. So it is not for me to come in and try to usurp your authority in any way, or to keep you as a perpetual child. My job is to build you up so that we can be brothers in arms. You see, I'm not interested in being the smartest person in the room, or the most wisest elder in the room. There's no true power in that. You're the king of the junk heap in that sense. The goal is to build everyone up so we can have a real kingdom. And kingdoms need alliances. So even if I come into your space and you recognize that you are a king in your own right, and this is your family, this is your kingdom, this is your land, so forth and so on, I'm not going to try to absorb you underneath what I am doing. So now you can be a child to me. And there's a couple of reasons for that, and I'm going to explain. Because that's the basis of a scam. And I'm going to explain why. I'm going to explain how the scam is actually affecting you. It goes deeper than just you losing $100. But any man that I knew would tell you, I'm always promoting, hey, go out there, do your thing. Hey, go out. What do you need help with? What do you need help with? They'll tell you. You have to do your own work. I'll support you to a degree, but, I'm not going to hold your hand. But I'll help you out as older brother or further along the path brother to you. I'm going to help you out. But the key is that you have to stand on your own too, in your own right, and work out your own reconciling or your own purpose or your own destiny that has been given and blown into you by the Most High Olodumare. You see, you have to do. I can't do that for you. You see, but I've been given certain gifts. I know the truth. It's a gift I've been given. And many men have this to varying degrees. We have to have it in order to run our households. You see, we can't be walking around guessing things all the time and trying to figure stuff out all the time. We have to know straight up so that way we can run our households in an effective manner. So we've been given that gift by Olodumare that expresses itself through our manhood. Yes, there is a difference between men and women. There is a difference, and we do hold different posts. And a lot of people comment on videos and say that, this guy is stuck in gender roles. Let me explain something to you. If I'm speaking about something from an Eastern perspective, you're not going to understand it because you're processing it with a Western mind. And I'm not asking you to process anything differently. I don't care. If you want to align yourself with the romantic or Roman way of thinking, that is your choice. That's your prerogative. That's the beauty of life. We can all come and represent whatever we choose to represent. But at the same time, I am in no current moral position to abandon the wisdom and the philosophy that has not only sustained me and my people for a long time, but has ascended us to the highest heights. I'm not interested in abandoning that for the sake of modernization or what you've now coined and established to be tradition. We have certain terms and ideas that are floating around on the planet right now. And even within the quote unquote conscious collectives, and people just feel that they have to jump on them when these certain buzzwords come forth. They just have to jump on them, and they now have to find a way to include them into their spiritual thoughts or their spiritual vernacular. And that's not necessarily the truth. I'm not one who advocates allegiance to a tradition above and beyond all things, but I will say that there are some things in our ancient ways that we do not need to forsake. There are some things in our primal understandings that we do not need to forsake. We do not need to be taught by our former students things that we forgot that we taught them, because they don't understand what it is that they're processing. And there's so many tragedies that are coming as a result. You have young children who are 11, 12 years old who are gender confused. And because we don't have a serious academic, scholastic component within the households, because a lot of times we don't have real households, there's no real balance. Because of that, we don't have a way to explain to them the breadth and the value of what they come as with their own biological endowments. We don't have a way to explain that. We don't have a way to explain to them, listen, son, listen, daughter, a clitoris is a penis and a penis is a clitoris. Ovaries are testicles and testicles are ovaries. You don't need to cut anything up or slice anything up in order for you to experience the other spectrum of your gender endowment. Because there are beautiful similarities between masculine and feminine, and we each have our own path of expression. So yes, she has a clitoris. Yes, you have a penis. You see? And you were given a penis for a divine reason. She was given a clitoris for a divine reason. But no one is missing anything. Nothing was placed by mistake. She has ovaries. You have testicles. Nothing is missing. Nothing was placed there by mistake. And there are opportunities to understand one another, to understand what it's like to have even what each other has, because you actually already have it. You see, But these things are not explained. So we have people who go down some really, really bad paths. And the same happens, you might be saying to yourself, what does this have to do with scamming? Everything in the world, because it's all in what you foundate on. It's all in what you begin and how you start on. And if you have no real solid and true foundation, if you have no real code, you have no code of righteousness, you have no code of culture, it's easy for someone to come along and say, the ancestors told you this. Well, let's define what that means when you say ancestors. You see, what are you talking about? Who are you talking about? And why is it even relevant? Why should I bow down and bend to someone who was alive before, but now they're no longer here in the physical? Does that make them superior to me? Does it truly? You see, are they revered ancestors? And if they are revered, why are we revering them? Are they for right reasons? Were they kingdom builders? Were they kingdom sustainers? Or were they people who came to destroy kingdoms? For instance, this individual who's seeking to con and scam, if they don't change their ways, they may die this way as a lying con person, as a lying scammer, but they would still be an ancestor. So now if this person now has something to say, am I supposed to listen? You see, so going back to you men, you have to build your home. And when you give away your hard-earned cash to these idiots because you're too lazy, you are disrespecting your ancestors. Well, how is that happening? Let me explain to you how that's happening. And I know this may be a rough ride for some of you. I understand it may be a rough ride, but you can jump off at any time. I'm fine with that. You can jump off. I sometimes look at the stats on the videos, and it shows you the watch time, when people, jump off and things like that. So I always find that interesting. Not everyone can make it to the end. Not everyone, like they say, the race is not giving to the swift nor the strong, but to those that endure to the end. So I recognize endurance can be a challenge. But culture, so many want to jump in and out. You want to live like a Western person. That's truly what you want. And you want to use the magic of the East to get you gains and to get you position in a Western world. And it doesn't work. It never works. It won't work for you. So many people think, like they say, well, you know what? This society and this government is using our ancient ways and our magic against us. First of all, it's not yours. Let's start there. It's not yours. How do you just lay claim to something just like that? That's the first thing that screws you up all the time. Or if someone has a drop of melanated blood in them, you just claim, oh, you black. You black. Black is a consciousness. Nobody's black. I don't care how dark you are. Ain't nobody black. Black is a consciousness. You see, don't color code yourself. That's stupid. So when I look at this person, this priestess Ifayemi Awo Sanmi, am I looking at a black person or am I looking at a colored person? Well, in my estimation, I'm looking at a colored person because black consciousness doesn't do this. Black consciousness doesn't tear down kingdoms. And I know we have this thing, I don't speak about my own in public. I don't. As you all know, that's always been my rule. This ain't my own. And I don't even know, who this person is or if they're real or whatever. So, but the point is, this ain't my own. I know who mine are. You can listen to what I said. And that message. We are the original Hebrews. We are the original Hebrews. Third time, we are the original Hebrews. I know what I was saying. Now, for some of you thinking, wait a minute, I thought he was Babylon. I thought he was an Ephah priest. How is he calling himself a Hebrew? Well, this story is so much more complex and deeper than one might imagine. You see, just because you initiate into something doesn't mean that you can lay claim to that bloodline and that inheritance. It's not the same. You need to understand that. You can initiate into any system that you want to. You could take the Scottish rites. It doesn't mean that you're a Scot. You can initiate into Santeria, and you can become a Santero. It doesn't mean that you have Spanish lineage. And I'm not saying that Santeria is a Spanish tradition. It's not. But I think you get what I'm saying in this. I'm speaking English right now, but I'm not an Englishman. The story in this timeline is much deeper than you just jumping up one day and saying, "Ooh, I'm this." That's that superhero stuff. I'm this. Who the heck is contacting me at this godly hour? So let me turn my thing off in case it. Yeah. All right. Cool. Oh, okay. Just looking at my message. Take your butt to sleep. All right. So anyway, we have to. You're beginning. You have to know who you are and what you are before you start. Like they say, if you don't know what you're standing for, you'll fall for anything. Or if you have nothing to stand for, you fall for anything. And this is true. So again, I spoke about why scamming and investing in a scamming paradigm before you invest in your actual culture and your relationship with Olodumare is a true disrespect to your ancestors. So let me give it to you like this, real straight and forward, men. Have children. If you have children, you owe them an inheritance. Now, what is it that your children should inherit from you? Land, primarily, but land, businesses, investments, and of course, always a good name. A good name. You see. So now what happens when you squander the money that is given to you through your efforts, and you squander it? Well, you're actually squandering your children's inheritance away. Ooh, that's a dangerous thing to do. Because your children are what? Your ancestors. Your children are your ancestors returned. And we do work and we make sure that as we have children, we have an inheritance. For every child you should have some land for each child. Now, this is our new talk that I'm talking now. I'm sharing this with the public just because we're here. I'm not going to go too deep into it because it's really for our new people. Because I don't, again, like to talk about stuff like this too much publicly. And it's not because I don't like to share. As you could see with over the 800, almost 1,000 videos that we have online, I have no problem with sharing information and giving it away at the free level. I have no interest. I have no problem with that. But I have no interest in debating things that are truth and that have already been put out there. So some things I keep in-house because it's received in a more healthy manner. And people understand that I'm not here working out theories. These theories have already been worked out. I'm here sharing them with you. But some people don't understand that. They think, I'm trying to get some props or whatever by sharing information and then hopefully someone will accept it, but if you argue with it, then, oh man, I don't really know. We're not there. We have not been there for probably over 30 something years. It's been at least over 30 years before since I wanted someone to listen to me. There's a time period, and every speaker knows that. We've all gone through it. Those of us who do public speaking and things. There's a time period you're like, man, it would be so cool if somebody wanted to just listen to me. And then every opportunity that you have, yeah, can you come speak here? You come speak here. Yeah, you take all of them because you're just like, wow, somebody actually wanted to listen. And then that eventually, transmutes into, wow, someone listened and they benefited from what they heard. It grows from just your personal desire to want to be heard because you feel like you have something that's important to say. And then it grows from that to like, wow, I actually touched somebody. And then, and you go through that early. And then eventually it's just, whether I want to talk or not, I got to say it because it's what's being pushed through me. And I have to share it, and then you get to that point where there's almost a fatiguing sobriety. You see that with all older speakers. Look at all elders. Elijah Muhammad, Louis Farrakhan, Even Amos Wilson to a degree, even when I wouldn't really have called him an elder before he transitioned. But if you look at a lot of the elders, you see this like a fatigue, a sobering fatigue. Where it's just like, all right, listen, this is what it is. And Dr. Clark, you saw that a lot. Like, hey, listen, this is what it is. Because you just have to let it out, but you're not really as concerned anymore. You're not even as zealous about what you're speaking about after a certain point. And partly is because you've learned to release expectation. And all those expectations you have from the beginning, you've gone through your heartaches. You've taught, and you expected a certain outcome and it didn't come, and you realize, man, it ain't even about me and what I'm expecting and what I'm seeing. It's about just the role that I've been designated to play, and I'm just got to tell the story. That's it. And not have attachments to how people receive the story. So anyway, like I said, men, you are giving away your children's inheritance. Dangerous ground that you're treading on there. And you're doing that because you refuse to stand up and be men. Now, that's for the men. For the females, a lot of times you'll fall up underneath these, whether they're male priests or these female priests. You go to the female priest half the time because you're rebellious. You don't want to listen to a man. And the female priest never calls you out on your BS. I'm giving it to you straight up. She never calls you out. She listens to all your crap, or just like I just did with this idiot, and said, oh, my baby mother's doing this. Oh, we'll get her. Instead of saying, well, how are you treating your baby mother? For all you know, I might have punched, obviously I made up the story, but I could have punched this woman in the face or did this or did so many different things, locked them in a closet. You're not even going to ask that question, you see. Our gender qualifies us for certain roles. I'm gonna give it to you straight. There's not a lot of women who are good at divination and counseling on a divine level like that. It's not. It's very rare. It's very, very rare. And I've said it once before. I'll say it again because, it is what it is. Women excel at doing the actual work. Now, when you start talking about doing ebos, you start talking about doing offerings, you start talking about mixing it up in the shrine and getting busy in the shrine, or in the forest, wherever your shrine is, could be in the forest. That's where the women really excel. Men excel when it comes to divination and counsel. And I'm not saying that a woman can't give divination and counsel. I'm not saying a man can't do rituals. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying that we all come with our strength, and this is the reason why we are mated and paired. There's a reason for that. Because we each handle something different within the mix. You're never going to find a deity without a masculine and female counterpart. You're just not going to find that. So a lot of times these females get up underneath other women, which is not even healthy. It's different if your auntie or your mother, but where's your man? Where's your man? And for those of you who know, a lot of times, again, we speak about the culture. A lot of your problems that you're investing in is because you're investing in sick systems. You want a turd to be polished. That's what you want. You want to do everything wrong and everything against what the system and what the culture dictates you to do, and then you want someone to come and sprinkle some magic dust over your dirty situation instead of cleaning your situation up. There's a reason why you're in the spot that you're in, is because you're disobedient to what Ifa has instructed, what Ifa has laid to you. And sometimes you run to Ifa or you run to some form of alternative spirituality or African spirituality. You run to those places because you think there's no moral code. You think there's no moral structure to live by. And it can be very ambiguous. It's almost like Rastafarianism. I can do whatever I want to do, and all I have to say is it's all love. It's all love. I got 15 children spread out all over the United States from when I was on tour singing. But it's all love. It's all love. It's love that created my youth. It's all love. Get out of here with that nonsense. How are you going to build a kingdom like that? Yes, we do need structure. We do need Ogun. We need structure to build on top of. You see, it was those hunters that went through the wood and found the water. When we talk about Osopo, you see, it was the hunters looking for structure, finding water. So the structure came before, or Ogun did what he needed to do before Oshun. You see that also in the other story about Odu that I shared. Ogun left first, then Oshun. You see, The structure has to come first, but so many of you are running from the structure, so you end up getting conned and scammed. That's what happens. You get conned and scammed because you don't want the moral structure in your life. And a lot of that deals with you females. You're rebellious and you're defiant. You didn't want to listen to your fathers. You didn't want to listen to your uncles. You didn't want to listen to your grandfather. You didn't want to listen to anybody, because you're just making a mess. And then you get up in these shrines and you get milked, or you get up in these churches and you get milked, and they pander to you and tell you everything that you want to hear, so they can keep extracting, sexual favors and money from you. And then you wonder why things are not going right, and then you contact me later. Chief, I need your help. My child is acting like this. My child is acting like that. And the first thing I always say to you, where's the father? I'm not the child's father. Where's the father? Oh, well, he's not involved. Why is he not involved? Because that's not enough for me. Did you chase him off? Is that why he's not involved? Before we even get into talking about your choice in men, and of course you chose what you did because you were defiant. You didn't want a man that was going to tell you what to do, and maybe your father wasn't around. Why? Maybe your mother chased him off. We never want to speak to that. We want to say he just left. As if men just don't love their families. Men just don't love their children. They just hate their children, or they just hate their wives. Or men are just not strong. They just walk away and the women are strong. That's BS. That's Western-minded BS. It doesn't fly over here. It will never fly over here. You're not going to get that off over here. Because I know the agenda, what's really going on. I know what's happening, the decentralizing of the family power. And I know the tools and the pawns and the puppets that are used consistently to keep the family decentralized. And that's why you can have these scam artists creep in. I learned all these things as it pertains to this spiritual system because I didn't want my family to be conned. That's how I got into this. I don't know if I've ever, I've shared some of it, but I've never really gotten into it. I'm not going to get into it now, or I'm not going to get too far into it. But the majority of the things that I've gotten into was so that I could provide it for my family. Martial arts. I learned martial arts. I took my bumps and bruises. I got knots on my body to this day. Some stuff that then jammed fingers that never grew back straight, things like that. And it was always, and every time I would be in a dojo, or I'd be in a park, or wherever it was that we were sparring and fighting, it was always the same thing I would say to myself, man. I'm taking this, or my lip is bleeding, or whatever it is, whatever punishment that I'm taking it for my people. So that way I can go back and teach them. I'm taking it for my family. I don't want to have to call another man, something happens and I got to go call another man to protect my family. I don't know. That's, I don't want to leave my family and my home at the mercy of someone else. I need to be well prepared, and not just being able to kick and punch and put people in chokeholds, but there's other ways to prepare, even down to where I may live, or again, what kind of things I may keep around me and on me, so it was always to fulfill and to do my part. When I came into I'm not even gonna say Ifa, because I had some other experiences before Ifa and even initiations, but it was for the same exact reason, man. I started to encounter crooked priests, and I've always kept pretty women around me. I've always had pretty attractive, appealing women, so they would start drooling. I'd always be around these priests that would be trying to urge these women to push me out the picture. I've had a priest tell a woman before that I was too rough, and that I was going to create problems in her life because I'm always going to approach things head on from a very rough perspective, instead of learning how to negotiate situations. And of course, this fool sitting there listening to it. And I had to fire her. I said, you have no loyalty, get lost, beat it. But then I also had to check him. I checked him real hard, but I had enough situations like that where I was like, you know what? Nah, I don't need to be bringing my women to someone. And the truth is, that's not even the culture. I didn't know it at the time. You learn through me. I'm the high priest of the home. You want to know something? You ask me. I'm not going to have someone sowing seeds of dissension inside of my homestead. That ain't gonna happen. You're not gonna have Iya over there. Well, Iya said I should. Well, I'm about to go check Iya. All right, don't come over here trying to break up my home. And for those of you in the new, A lot of you women came, and the first thing I said, hey, where's your husband? How's he feel about you being a... Well, my husband's a Christian. Well, then you need to go be a Christian. My husband's Muslim, but, I don't identify. You need to go be a Muslim. That's your head. That's your covering. I'm not your covering. I'm not your head. I don't have a vested interest in your survival, the survival of your children. I didn't create those children. You and another man created them. And it would be wicked and blasphemous for me to try to steer a man away from how he has decided that he and his family are going to connect to the divine. Or you might say, well, he's not involved in anything. He doesn't have any spiritual. Well, that's what you chose. So you need to assimilate and align with whatever he's doing. And maybe he doesn't have those things because you're the stumbling block. Maybe he's stagnant because of you. Maybe it's not because, he's just a loser. But always understand that, like attracts like. If he's a loser, you're a loser. And then the answer is always, well, I was like that, but I came into the truth. You didn't come into anything. Knock it off. Because whatever truth or whatever agitation that you have as a feminine energy, it comes from the agitation of a masculine energy. Agitation and growth comes from air, and it comes from fire or from light, which are both masculine elements. Point blank. If you're a Christian, you're a Muslim, and you start learning something else, is because another man is teaching you. You came across one of my videos, or you came across one of my podcasts. So you're now pseudo choosing up with another man. That's what you're doing. And you haven't served your previous man. And that's no reason for divorce. I'm going to throw that out. I don't want to get into too many things. I know I'm going off into some other stuff, but, these are things that come across. I talk with so many women sometimes, doing this work, and, I left my husband. Why'd you leave your husband? Because he wasn't growing. That's not an appropriate reason to leave. That's not an appropriate reason for divorce. It's just not. And just like I say, young girls should not be allowed to pick their own husbands because they don't have the proper decision making within them. They shouldn't be allowed to divorce their own husbands without the inclusion of the family. It should take the family to bring y'all together. It should take the family to take y'all apart. Because you will divorce someone because you're feeling some type of way, or because you're not happy for 2 months. After a 10-year marriage, I ain't happy for 2 months. Now I want to leave. You're not qualified to make those decisions. So same thing comes with spirituality and getting scammed. A lot of times it happens because people are not properly covered. So women get scammed all the time. Like I say, women are the world suckers. I've been saying that for years. That's just their nature. They're sponges. They absorb things, So their filters are more widely open than men are. That's why it takes the man to stand in the front of the household, defend and deflect. So when things come to the house, you be, nah, get that out of here. This coming, nah, get that out of here. And sometimes what you're deflecting are family members. Sometimes, it's not always, or relatives, because like I said, I make a distinction between family and relatives. It's not always, somebody coming swinging a watch on a gold chain, with a zoot suit saying, hey, a wolf in zoot suit clothing trying to get at your family in a certain way. Sometimes it's an uncle or a mother or a father or a brother or a best friend I grew up with, or, sometimes it's your own children, and your job as a man is to defend the homestead, not just physically, but intellectually, because that's always going to be your first point of defense. Half the time when you have to defend your woman physically is because you haven't defended her intellectually. So she's doing something stupid. And she's doing something stupid because she's reflecting your stupidity. That's why she's doing something stupid, because she has a stupid man. If you feel like your woman is slow to action and she's not getting things done, it's because you're slow to action and you're not getting things done. You want her to move, in a more righteous manner, you move in a more righteous manner. That's what you need to do. Don't talk about it, be about it. Because women aren't logical anyway. They don't care anything about the truth. You can give them the truth all day. They wipe their behind with the truth. They could care less about logic. They're moved by emotion. They're made of pure emotion. What is emotion? Energy in motion. So you have to take your energy and put it into motion. Stop spouting it out through your mouth. That's your children's job. Your job as a man is to think and then move, because everything that exists within the sun, moon, and stars has to exist within you first. So that means you have to be the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. Now, of course, we say that man is the knowledge, woman is the wisdom, children are the understanding. But the reality is, in order to motivate your entire family, you have to create that universe first. You have to be the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding on your own first. You got to move and you got to lead by example, because, again, the speed of light is much faster than the speed of sound. You see? So we're moved by what we see before we're moved by what we hear. 1,120 per second. That's speed of light. You see? It's fast, man. It's fast. Now, thought is faster than light, of course, and they both travel faster than sound. But nonetheless, you have to be a moving example of what it is that you're looking for, right? That's how you properly cover. And if you don't, then they're going to start drifting and talking to these scam priests and priestess and different people within the community. Now, I want to shift gears for a second, because, like I said, I don't want to talk about this, but for so long. I'm sorry, I got a WhatsApp message, because the other side of the world is up now. Yeah. But anyway, so like I was saying, all right, let me let them know I'm doing something. Give me one moment. We're buying some trees for one of my properties that I have somewhere, and another far off land. Just say that. So I'm getting some new fruit trees put in. Well, I'll be putting some of them in, but we're kind of organizing it now. So I'm gonna grow some new stuff. I'm gonna start trying to play around with jackfruit. Those trees, they're humongous. So we're getting our hands on some jackfruit trees now. But anyway, so yeah, like I said, I'm gonna shift gears a little bit. There was a situation, a story almost, we could say, that I was following for a while, that a young man went through. I'm just gonna say his name by the name of Crypto Roots. He's got a YouTube channel, and I'm leaving. I created a playlist myself of the actual list of videos. He did 10 videos in total about an experience that he had with an individual that some of you may know by the name of Brother Polite. And I'm not speaking against anyone, right? I really don't need to. I really don't need to, right? But we're coming into 2020, and this in 2019 has been the year of revelations. Things have been brought to the front, even from a numerological perspective, that 3 year. But we're coming into 2020, and it's time to kind of balance ourselves with a more situated and refined culture. It's important, and to be able to bear witness to the people who we have around us, and more importantly, again, the culture. There's a reason, even if you look at the Helios Biblios, as some people call it, the Holy Bible, there's a reason that within the Old Testament you have all the laws before you have the grace and the dispensation of the New Testament. Why have that first? Because we have to deal with the structure of the law before we start dealing with the beautiful abstractionisms of the Spirit. You see, so the same thing goes when we're dealing with Ifa. Like I always say, learn the language a little bit. At least learn at least 50 to 100 words in Yoruba, at least. But learn some of the language, learn some of the foods, learn some of these are the structural pieces that you learn before you get into all of the abstractionism. You want to learn everything about Oshun, but you don't learn about water. You want to learn everything about iron. Have you ever stood next to a train? Do you have any investments in the steel industry? Do you know the difference between iron and steel? Do you know anything about metallurgy? Or we're so excited by the idea of Shango because we're talking about dance and stuff, but Shango is also rulership, and it's guarding rulers. Do you know anything about the Secret Service? Do you know anything about project management or leadership skills? Have you studied that at all? Right? If not, then you're just playing. This is all just a game to you. You're playing. You're not serious. So anyway, going back to this young brother, Crypto Roots, and I reached out to him a while ago. The videos came out a bit, a while ago, and I reached out to him, and basically he went through what he describes as a pretty harrowing experience, where he had an inheritance. We back to that again. His father had left him $100,000, and long story short, he ended up giving that $100,000, according to his description, to a Brother Polite, and it was for a mentor or program that Brother Polite apparently had, and he was going to show him how to do different investments and things like that. And unfortunately, according to this brother's testimony, the money was completely squandered and stolen and taken away from him. And you can, like I said, click on the link in the description. The playlist is there, and you can watch it for yourself and see what it's all about. In terms of that particular story. But I was really moved by it because, I work with people like this who come on the tail end of this, whether it's EFI or it's the foolishness in the conscious community. And sometimes, like, this brother didn't really necessarily grow up with his father. They didn't have a close relationship, and that tells everything right there. There was no covering. So who's rearing you and developing you into a man? Because your mother can't do it, so a lot of times, if you don't gain that sobering discernment from your father, you do become a target. You become a mark for a lot of different people in different communities, and that goes for you females. That goes for you males. And there's certain things, and I'm going to speak about this on another, maybe through the podcast. How do you really identify a scammer? One of the things that I would definitely say is that a lot of times we end up giving a lot of money to people who we don't even know what their name is. And I just think about that for a second. People are using these screen names, right? And you actually don't know their actual legal name. So when it comes time to pursue them, you don't even know where to begin. There's no contracts that are involved. Not only do I have contracts when I'm doing any kind of business with anyone, I'm doing speaking engagements, there's contracts people have to sign when they hire me to come speak, which specifies what the honorarium is going to be, the topic, what time we're going to begin, and if there's a cancellation for any reason, so forth and so on. And these are people I might be really cool with, but there's a contract. There's a contract within my own family. Every woman that I'm with, is under contract, who's within my harem. There's a contract that we sign, that speaks about, our own personal agreement, what we're here to do, and what we're about, because we have to be able to police ourselves in many sense. And I hate to use the word police, but we have to be able to counsel ourselves among ourselves. A lot of times what happens, and what's so sad, because we don't have any system of nation building between us, because we always talk about nation building, but we don't really have any real nation building, because a lot of times when things happen, the first thing we do is we step outside of our quote unquote nation to have someone else judicate, what our disagreements are. So I'm gonna take you to court, or we might have agreements between each other, but an agreement is only as valid as the integrity of the people who sign it. That's what validates your agreement. So you can have agreement within your community if you have some type of little conscious collective or whatever. You could sign agreements between one another, but as soon as something goes awry, are people are doing whatever they want to do and talking about, well, go ahead, sue me then. You don't like it, sue me. You see? So your agreement is only as valid as the integrity of the people who sign that agreement. That's really true, because for everyone, their word is not their bond. I mean, let's just be honest. For everyone, their word is not their bond. So in order to be able to determine the integrity of those people who are signing, you have to be a part of a like community. You have to be a part of a similar community. So that way, even when it comes time now to judge and arbitrate matters, you can go to the same people in that community and say, hey, well, this is what's happening. This is what's going on. This is what a disagreement is. But see, a lot of times people don't like people in their business. I don't like people in my business. You see, I get that one a lot. Even sometimes when we say things like, hey, if you enjoyed the video, share it. I know why people don't share them, because they don't want people to know where they're getting the information. Some of you are out there writing books and doing videos and quote unquote teaching, and you're using the exact same information that I gave you. But you don't want people to know they got it from me because you're afraid that you're going to lose a customer to me. All right, well, it's your prerogative. Do it how you will. But, you're not really going to get any real gains that way, of course. But nonetheless, or some people just don't want people to know, like, hey, this is where I draw my strength from. So they keep things to themselves, or something happens within a household and they don't want to be called out on their BS. Again, this is why you go to these internet priests, because they don't really know you. They don't know the problem is you. It's not someone else, it's you. You see? How many of you have walked away from sessions with me frustrated? Because I had a woman say that to me some years back. She said, I stopped talking to you because I would call you for help and you would say it was my fault. It was your fault. You were the problem. So, in your mind, there's no possibility that you could actually be at fault. That's not even a possible scenario in your mind that you could actually be at fault. It has to be someone else. It has to be something else. I don't work like that. You want that? Go to a psychic, or go to a female priestess. And I'm not dogging female priestess, but someone needs to be honest about some of this stuff. And that's what I've been called to be. Female priestess ain't gonna call you out on anything. Especially if it has to do with men, because half the time they don't have men. If they don't have men, you need to turn the other way. I said it in the other video, you didn't like it, I'm saying it again. You ain't gonna like it again. I don't care. If people are not mated, I've had people come to me for initiation. Hey, Baba, I want to get initiated. First of all, who said I'm your Baba? Don't be running around calling me Baba if I'm not your Baba. And if I am your Baba, then there's certain rules and regulations to even get initiated. Just because you got the money, don't mean you got the money, you got the cash. All right, come on. No, it doesn't work that way. I had these guys years ago wanted me to initiate them. They were both 50, same age, both 50 years old, and wanted me to initiate them. They wanted to be Babalao. They even gave themselves Ifa names. They might be, I know at least one of them is probably listening to this. Yeah, I'm talking about you. And neither one of them had anything to show for it in their lives at 50 years old. I said, there's no way I can initiate you. No. You got no families, neither one of you. Neither one of you have produced any children. I don't even know if you're actual men or if you're in drag. You've produced no children. Ironically, both of you, one was squatting in his mother's house and the other one was living with his aunt in a room at 50 years old. And I understand we all fall on hard times. I've fallen on hard times before. I've dug through them sofa cushions looking for change. I've done it, or swiped something out of the store, to bring back home to feed my fam. I've done it, However, we've all gone through our transient rough spots. But this was their life, and I can guarantee you during that time I wasn't talking about, I want to be initiated. No, I wanted to get my paper back up. Whatever hit that I might have taken, I wanted to recover from that hit. You see, I didn't want to try to swipe over the failures in my life and use some type of initiation to now give myself a title of honor because I didn't put the work in that I was supposed to as a man. And of course, neither one of those individuals are with me anymore. They left. They went to other priests and tried to get initiated, and it didn't really work out. And I think the other one now, he just pretends that he's a priest. But some people want to be Babas so bad but don't want to get their lives together. They want to be Iyas so bad but don't want to get their lives together. If you're a woman and you got a bunch of children by a bunch of different men, or your children are just off the chain, no one should be initiating you. You're not a representation of anything positive to aspire to. If you're a man and you got a bunch of women in different places and a bunch of children, and you don't have unity among all these women, or unity at least in healthy relationships with them, and you don't currently have someone that you are partnering with, you shouldn't be getting initiated on any level. And I know that's going to hurt some feelings, because I have some students where that is your scenario. But hey, see, this thing is not about you coming under me and staying under me and getting my approval for anything. You don't have to worry about that. If you're a man, you're a man. You make your own decisions. If you're a woman, you're a woman. You make your own decisions. This is not about me lording over you, especially if you're a man, because I am heterosexual. All right, I'm not. We're not going to do any kind of homoerotic stuff where, you under me and you kind of my sub and you a cuckold. And even if you come with a wife, your wife is more allegiant to me. And if I want to, I could, do something on the side with her, and you might even sit in the corner and watch and cry. We're not doing that. I'm not going to freak off like that. So if you're a man, you make your own decision. You want to go get initiated, go get initiated. You're a woman, you want to go get initiated, go get initiated. Do whatever you feel like doing. But it doesn't mean I'm not going to tell the truth. Get your home together first. Get your household together first. Start there before you start trying to go out and seek or pay for, because all you're doing is paying for a title, before you seek to pay for a title. Because let me tell you something. You get your home together right, you get yourself aligned properly and you align your lifestyle with Orisha, with Ifa, what you're going to find is that people are going to start thinking you're initiated anyway, just because of the way you move. So then by the time you get the initiation, it'll be like, going into turbo. That's what I was told. I'm using the terminology. When I got initiated, that's what I was told. Because, like my elders is like, you're already there. So I was like, well, I'm already there. Why I got to do this? And they were like, it will be like turbo. You will have turbo. A car like the Saab 900 turbo. You will have turbo. Because you already are there. You are already a priest, But again, it wasn't just because I was walking around calling myself a priest, or I gave myself some divine name. I didn't have any of that. Haru was given to me. A woman gave me that name because of something that I did. I was, and it was really a title. It's not really a name. Like I say, my name is Yuya, but my title was given to me by a woman. And then I received my Ifa name, you see, when I went through my experience. Titles came later, but I had already been out there putting the work in. It wasn't, I got to wait till I get initiated or anything like that. And when you're out there putting the work in, it's very easy to see who ain't putting the work in. Let me tell you, I could spot a scammer within 3 seconds. 3 seconds. The way they stand, the way they speak, the way they smell, their spirit stinks. The spirit, you could smell their funky behind spirit. It just stinks. And somebody asked that, and the question was, how can you tell if a spirit stinks? Try the spirit by the spirit. When you're clean, when you get out of the shower, if you're wearing certain clothes or whatever, and you've been out working and you get out the shower and you go back and smell those clothes, you're like, man, that's how I was smelling? Oops. Oopsie daisy. You didn't know sometimes until you clean yourself up first. But also, I've been in the streets. I keep it 100 with you. I've been in the streets. I didn't, like I said, we all start somewhere. I've been around some of the best con men. I've seen people have to con their way out of getting shot or con their way out of getting jumped. They had to talk their way out of an ass whooping. So I've ran with the best of the best. And it was times I had to talk my way out of the same. Talk my way out. I had a gun in my side. More than once. But I had a damn gun in my side, and I had to talk my way out of that. And I was wrong. And had to just get far enough away so I can live to work it out another day. So we've all been in some harrowing situations and experiences, and it develops a certain insight in us. It develops a certain keenness in us, So, you can see that stuff from a mile away. But like I said, a lot of times, a simple thing is like there's no contracts. You don't know the person's name. You're sending them money, but you're sending money to a person, not to a business. You see? So like, Anu, our stuff is registered. You can look us up, and some of you will. Let me go see if I can find them. But if I present but some of you may not know the name of our actual business entity. But like when I present a contract with you, and I invoice you, you're given options. You can, do an ACH deposit. You can put it in our bank account, which is a business account, or you can send it this way, you can send it that way. But they're all business accounts. So there's a certain recourse that you have when you're dealing with an actual business as opposed to an individual or just like a Cash App screen name or whatever. Now, of course, for offerings, I tell you, hey, if you want to send me an offering, here's my Cash App, or whatever. But that's different. But when we're conducting business, or like if I was running a mentor program, which I wouldn't, because I have no interest in being a mentorist and taking boys to the gymnasium and stripping them naked and molesting them. I have no interest in being a mentorist, but I am a jegna. But if I was running a official program where you paid to be a part of it, you would be paying the business. You're not going to write a check to Chief Yuya. You see, because I don't have any ID that says Chief Yuya. Come on, use your brains here. I don't have any ID that says Chief Yuya. And just like I'm sure Brother Polite's ID does not say, his driver's license does not say Brother Polite. I'm sure it says Michael Nowak. But again, I'm not getting on it. Like I said, you can look at the videos and make your own assessment. I'm not going to make an assessment. I'm just sharing this individual's story. And like I said, I felt for them because I know what it's like to put your trust in someone and put your faith, even if it's blind faith and it's misguided. But I know what it's like to do that and have them completely turn out to be someone that you didn't expect, especially when you're reaching out for more than even what you may specify. A lot of women and men, they join Anu not just because of the teachings, but they want to be a part of something that means something. That it gives their life purpose. They want to be a part of something that is clean, is righteous. Like I said, you ain't gonna find nothing on me. You could find something, but you're not going to find, like I said before, something where I scam somebody. I don't have any of that type of stuff. I'll be honest with you. You're not going to find that. You might find some other stuff, but there's nothing that I'm like going to hold my head down in shame about or anything like that. That's just, no. I don't have anything like that, because when you're called for a certain purpose, truthfully, there's certain things that are just not going to be inside of you. It's not to say that I don't have enough evil in me or enough misguidedness in me to con someone. That energy is in all of us. But let's just say, I'm just going to talk about me. Yeah, sure, I have enough energy to do that, but I don't have the character or the nature to do anything like that. So that energy may express itself in other ways, right? Or may have expressed itself in other ways that I had to work through and be delivered from and deliver myself from, right? But to do this work, there's a certain confidence that you need to be able to hold. You got some pastors and preachers and stuff that in a previous life, they were bank robbers, stick-up kids, drug dealers, pimps, whatever, and if you understand the nature of each of those different things, you can understand it from a perspective, and it's a lot different than con men. And no, pimping is not conning. I know some of you might say, that's the same. It's not, and it's only because you've never been in the game, so you don't understand the game. So you're getting your understanding from rap songs, But so I just say that to say that. We all start somewhere, man. But like I said, I shared the young man's situation. It was really sad to me because he lost his father's inheritance, and that's what a lot of times is different kind of scams that I see where that happens. I've seen situations where people have offered people to come. I've seen a situation in West Africa, for instance, where people are offering that you come and live on this land, and I'm going to give you something about that because. Some of you do know that I have land in other countries, and At one point, I was offering for people to come stay on my land for free, even the land that I had here in the U.S. And I stopped doing that for several reasons. But I'm just going to get into another aspect of it. If you come and live on my land, let's say, man, I'm gonna take. Let's say you're a brother, you got yourself. Maybe even you're married. You might have you're married, you got a child, or two or three or four, whatever. I don't know. And you say, hey, I want to come live on your land. Okay, cool. You can come live on my land. Now, what does that mean in terms of governing your household? Let's say one day I walk by your house and you and your wife are outside going at it. And you saying, you know what, you keep it up, I'm going to kick you out of here, I'm going to send you back to your mother's. And I say, wait a minute, hold on, brother, you can't do that here. You can't send her back. She lives here just like you do. Now I'm governing your household. And why can I do that? Because you on my land. These are very simple examples. Or here's this. Let's say you got children and you die. You're 35, 40, 50 years old, whatever. You die. What do your children inherit if the land is mine? You think about it. Do they inherit the agreement? How about this? Do I take your wife? Is she mine now? Because you were living on my land? Because technically, if you come and live on my land for free, you are my servant. Culturally, historically, you're my servant. You are my property. Just like my wives are my property. My children are my property. Yeah, I know people. What? He just called his wives his property? Yeah. Well, I'm coming from a different land and a different perspective than you are. You're coming from a Western thing, and I understand. And you can stay in that Western mindset. Have at it. Try to get that. Try to fix that divorce rate. Have at it. I'm speaking about the culture that I come from and the peace that exists within my home and in my homestead. These women are my property. These children are my property. So if I die, there's an inheritance. You see, if you die, what happens with you when you're living underneath my covering as a man? The same thing for you women who come in. You women who come in and say, oh, I want to live on a continent too. Well, let's try this. What kind of man would say, hey, come live on the continent? Knowing good and well that if you get some land, you still got to build a home. You say, I want to grow my own food. You're going to work your own farm. You're going to build your own home. And I know good and well you can't do that. Straight up, you cannot do that. Because you're talking about living in an environment that is patriarchal. And that a single woman, you by yourself, you're going to get conned. I already know that. You're going to get conned. Unless you say, well, this man is my covering, this man is my husband, Chief Yuya is my big brother, which I tell most people when they come, most sisters when they come, even to visit. Even when they come to visit, tell them I'm your elder brother. So whatever they ask you for, they say, hey, we need money for that. Tell them I have to ask my elder brother first. And then that shuts all of that down. Even I tell women to say that who are older than me. I've had women come, and visit the land and they're in their 70s. I'm not in my 70s, not yet. And I say, well, tell them I'm the elder of the family. And once you say that, oh, he's the elder of the family. Oh, crap. Oh, crap. All right. Move along. That shuts everything down. You see? So I just say that to say, there are so many things that need to be in place so that we can protect those who are precious. We can protect our women. We can protect our children. We can protect, our young men. And sometimes you invest into a paradigm, into a system that's going to undermine you anyway. Because you don't want to do what you want to do. And I know this is going to hurt some feelings of some of you brothers who have spoken to me and like, yeah, Chief, if you want to live next to my land, let's do it. I want you to live next to me. I want us all to live near to each other. You ain't living on my land. I'll let you stay there for a little while you get yourself together, while you and your family get yourself together. But you got to have your household. You got to have your own kingdom. And then our kingdoms can align themselves with each other. Because I'm not about, like I said, being I may be the silverback. I know I'm the silverback now, but just because I'm the silverback doesn't mean that you're not a king and a chief in your own right. Even in a traditional sense, you got more than one chief. I'm a chief back home, but I'm not the chief. I'm not the chief of any village that I'm a chief in. I'm one of the chiefs. You see? Now, when it comes to our new, that's a different story. However, Back home, no, I'm a chief. I sit at the table when we have to discuss things. I sit at the table with the other chiefs. You know, and in most instances, I'm the youngest one anyway. in both places that I've received a stool or a chieftaincy title, I'm the youngest chief. So not only am I, I speak the language the least out of everyone, but I'm also the youngest. On top of that. So I'm nowhere near on the top of the pile at all, But nonetheless, I'm still, sovereign in my own right. And what goes on in my home, I'm still the sovereign ruler of my homestead and my home. And anyone who would try to take that away from you is a scammer and a con artist. Anyone who would try to take away your sovereign rule as a man, any man who would try to tell a female, you can come live underneath my situation, but not really be trying to design and mate you and pair you with a man so that you can be properly covered, is conning you. Any female that would tell you, you don't need no man, don't listen to these idiots. And if you choose to listen to these idiots, then something is kind of idiotic about you. Something is a bit idiotic about you. And let me say something. I'm going to say this before I leave. A lot of times you guys have to be prepared and built to be these things that I'm speaking about. You can't just jump up and say, like you guys say, well, I want my own homestead. Okay, cool. Do you know how to run your own homestead? Sometimes you might have to go stay with that man and be his junior for a year or two to learn how to run a homestead. There was an elder man who taught me about farming. I didn't know. I had grown things. I had a garden before. I've always kept a garden, but I didn't know how to properly use a tiller. I didn't know how to properly plant or run irrigation lines, or how to give a goat medicine, or the purpose of having African guineas on your land, or of having pigeons and things. I could go through a whole list. I did a lot of heavy farming when I had my farmland. A lot of heavy farming, but I didn't know any of these things. It was an elder man who I came under on his farm, and I would farm with him. I would help him. I wasn't getting paid for that. He'd feed us. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, we eat some food. His wife would make some food, whatever, and we'd sit around and we'd talk and, crack jokes and stuff. That was it. I had a belly full of vegetables, but I ain't had no pocket full of money as a result. But what I was getting was invaluable in terms of the education. You see, that was more valuable than money, because the money would have been spent by now. But I still have that know-how. I can go anywhere and grow food. And I may not be able to do it at the highest level or anything like that, but I can go anywhere. I can grow me some food. I can raise animals, anywhere, because of what was given. So sometimes you may have to come under another man for a while and learn these things before you can, kind of establish yourself for whatever it is that you're seeking to learn. I'm not just saying farming. There's other professions, and the same thing with women. Some of you jump up and say, I want to be covered. I get that one all the time. Chief, I need a covering. Are you qualified to be covered? There's a reason why you're single. A lot of you women who come forward, you're 30, 40, 50 years old, you have no covering. Sometimes it's because you're intolerable. That's the reason why you're not covered, because you are intolerable. And no man wants to deal with that when they're trying to survive in their own life. They don't want to deal with your hard-headedness. Or you come with 3 or 4 different children and you demand to be covered. And not only do you have 3 or 4 different children, they got 3 or 4 different fathers. And you're like, I need to be covered. Being covered is a privilege. It's not a right. And if a man says, oh, no, I ain't trying to deal with your 15, 20, 30 years worth of baggage, I'm good. That's his right. You see, so these are the things that you need to be thinking about as you're out here ruining yourself. Male and female, as you're out here ruining yourself. Will I be now qualified, or will I be able to even present an argument when I want to be chosen and picked to be a part of something and to be included in something? And on top of that, am I ready to fall in whatever pecking order that is presented to me? Or do I feel so entitled? Because when you feel entitled, that's when the scamming begins. That's when it begins, because people will play and manipulate that entitlement. Like I said, for me, when at certain tables, I'm the run of the group. When I'm at certain tables, when I'm doing the work, I have assistants with me that are on a continent that work for me on salary. They translate for me. You know, I speak different languages, but sometimes, but if you, I do speak different languages, but sometimes if a person decides they want to turn it up a little bit, I will get lost very quickly. You start speaking real fast or using different other vernacular, I'm gone. You know, you lost me. So I have my assistants there to always translate to make sure I'm in step. Well, that means I'm the runt of the room. I can't even follow along with a simple conversation. Hey man, but I'm just glad I'm in the room. Thanks for opening up the door and letting me take my shoes off and sit down here with everybody else. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for letting me in the room. You see, I don't feel entitled to anything because I'm coming with everything that's wrong anyway. I was sharing that with one of my consorts earlier today. I was talking about when I initiated, you know, and at one point, you know, the experience that I went through, I didn't demand what the experience was supposed to be, to tell these elders, you got to teach me this way and you got to teach me that way. Or I wasn't hard-headed. When they told me something, I did it, period. When they put a little boy in front of me and said, he's going to teach you Patriarchy, I didn't say, what? Man, I ain't going to be learning from the little boy, man. I got children this age. I didn't do that. I said, okay. Okay, no problem. And I accepted that with a smile. Like I was telling my consort, they used to make me carry propane tanks back and forth to the compound because they always talk about how big and strong I was. They treated me like a damn mule. They would say, Haru, you're big, you're strong, yeah, man, yeah. And they would make me go and get propane tanks and carry them back and forth. Oh my goodness. And that heat, woo. I was happy to do it. Man. Because you know what? I got a seat at the table. I'm here. And hell, even if I wasn't at the table, if you put me at the little round kitty plastic table, but I'm in the room, man. Shoot. What did I do to earn this? You know, I initiated with my hair locked. My hair was down to my waist. Freeform locks. Not the pretty ones. You know, I cut my hair off a couple of years ago, but I went through all of my major initiations with locks. Nobody cut my hair off. You know, locks and a big old beard. Now, if any of you have ever been to the continent, you know, like that's not the look. That's not the appealing look. You're not going to be a sex symbol with that look. You know, and women used to tell me like, you know, I'm scared of you. They would say it just like that. I'm scared of you. Why? Because of your hair. It used to scare people, you know. And I basically took a Nazarite vow. So no razor touched my face. So my beard was out, mustache was falling over my top lip, you know, and I had all this hair. And I never wore my hair out in the States. I would only wear it out. Like as soon as I got off the plane back home, I'd always, you know, take my crown off, let that sun hit my head, you know. So my hair was always out. And this is how I presented myself, man, when, you know, and these elders, even with, man, you coming with all these locks and this beard and these Timberland boots, you know, and you don't even speak the language and your skin ain't even the right doggone color. But we still gonna let you come to the table. And some of you might be thinking, yeah, because you paid a hefty price. No, I didn't. If I tell you what I paid for my EFI lessons originally, it would knock your socks off. No, I didn't. I was treated with a lot of grace and respect and love by my elders. A lot. And I didn't earn one bit of it. None of it. I didn't do anything to earn it. Yeah, I was polite and stuff, but I was going to be polite anyway, man. You know, my parents taught me to be polite. That was going to happen anyway. You know, I didn't earn none of that. You see? So, you know, it's important to think about when someone says, you can come into my house. You can come into my school. Don't come in there stomping your foot about what you're entitled to. You ain't entitled to nothing. You ain't entitled to none of my land, or none of the inheritances that I have designated for my children. And you're not entitled to a husband. You're not entitled to a wife. You're not entitled to anything. You're entitled to be paid for what you've already invested in, and it probably was a whole lot of foolishness. And if you're not paying The wages for all that foolishness, just be thankful. Just be thankful. And be humble. And when you're told to do something, just do it. If you're told to carry a propane tank for 1.5 miles in the heat, carry that propane tank 1.5 miles in the heat, because you know what? It's only going to make you stronger anyway. All them propane tanks I carried, I mean, shoot, that just mean I punch harder now. You know, just made my core stronger. So we get into a wrestling match, it's just more is a bigger chance I'm gonna end up throwing you into the bushes because I've been carrying propane tanks. You know, you find joy in all things, you know, and find your place of humility. Humility comes from the word humus, which means earth. Get a base and get close to that earth, man, and then you'll see what true gratefulness should look like and should be. And when you get close to that earth, like the serpent, you become wise, because the serpent's whole body is touching the planet. It can feel every vibration. People are not going to be able to con you and to scam you, because you're in touch and you're in tune with the vibrations that they're coming with. All right, so I know this was a very long. I haven't done one this long in a long time. You know, and if you watched it or listened to the end, more power to you. All right, but yeah, I just wanted to share that, and you know, just kind of close out that whole experience with Miss Ifayemi O Sanmi, and like I said, I did inform my comrades at the council, you know, but like I said, this might not be the person's name, but I sent pictures and everything. This, you know, just so you know, just what's happening. You know, and we laughed about it. They said, "What are you doing?" I said, "No, this is really it's a lesson for my students. You know, this wasn't like I got conned. You know, like I sent them some money or anything like that. But I just wanted to follow through. At least do that. You know, at least send them the information. And you know, definitely, I hope you watch the videos. And you know, it's long. Like I said, it's like 10 of them of this brother Crypto Roots, and the experience that he went through. And definitely leave your comments and your thoughts about that, and even just the whole scanning thing. And for respectful comments, you might get a response from me. And for if you don't, it might be because you said something out of pocket and ridiculous, or you asked a question that you shouldn't be asking. And I'm going to give you some space to reflect on what it is that you're saying and what it is that you're asking. But like I said, I gave myself a gift. I'm not responding to nonsense. I'm not responding to those insults. I'm just going to block you. You know, you come with something stupid, or you come with something that's detracting from people's learning, I'm going to get rid of you. All right, so this has been Chief Yuya, and this is the final, the nail in the coffin for this, you know, how not to get scammed. And I didn't actually do a breakdown of everything I said in my note or whatever. I'll let you break it down. I'll let you break down exactly what I was doing when I put that spell on the person, and exactly what I was saying. I'll let you break down every single point, you know. But willfully you learn something, and, you know, you have something to think about and to share with y'all. And please, don't squander away your inheritance. It's the only thing you really have to give your ancestors. All right. Until such time, Odabo.